Hello there, everybody. It is me, XFreezerBunny, and welcome finally to my Let's Play on The Sims 4 Vampires. So unlike many of my other Let's Plays before, this playthrough is going to be very narrative driven, which means that the story of each of our characters is going to be very important. So, as you guys can see, we are currently at a certain point in the story of our three protagonists. You know, a lot of things have happened in the past that shaped who they are as Sims and also give them motivations as to the goal of this playthrough. Now, there really isn't any substantial goal to this LP except for one. There's only one main goal that I really want to achieve by the end of this LP, and I'm gonna elaborate on that a little bit later on. But really quickly, I'm gonna go ahead and discuss to you guys the series of events that happened in the past that led to where we are in the story right now. And I'm also going to be talking about the characters that we are going to be playing as, starting with our heroine for this story, Daphne Whitlock. So, Daphne is a relative newcomer to this quiet community known as Forgotten Hollow. Daphne is an aspiring writer, and for most of her childhood, she lived in the city of San Myshuno. Daphne comes from what we'd like to call a dysfunctional family. Her childhood is filled with memories of her parents arguing, and she really didn't get to experience any love from either one of her parents. And the only person in the world that really cared for her and that really made her feel like family and is really important to her is her grandmother. So one summer, Daphne was able to take a break from the city when her parents sent her to spend the summer with her grandmother here in Forgotten Hollow. And this is basically where she met two local children called Layton and Lavinia Carlisle. So very quickly they became friends and they explored the neighborhood and they really bonded together. And this was undeniably Daphne's best summer of her life. Unfortunately, all good things had to come to an end when Daphne was called back home to the city, and this is when she realized that while she was away, her parents underwent a divorce, and she is now going to live with her mother. So fast forward many years, and the trauma of that whole divorce situation really kind of made Daphne forget the good experiences that she had that one summer in Forgotten Hollow. And many years later, Daphne received the awful news of her grandmother passing away from a long-term illness. And this news comes with both good and bad news because, of course, Daphne lost her only person that she cared for. However, Daphne also found out that exact same moment that she inherited her grandmother's property in Forgotten Hollow, the only place where she felt amazing in her entire life is going to be hers and hers alone. So really quickly, she packed up her bags, said goodbye to her mother, and left for Forgotten Hollow as fast as she can. So this is when she was approached by two locals asking for help, and with very little introduction, she very quickly realized that it was her two childhood friends, Layton and Lavinia Carlisle. Now, Layton and Lavinia, like Daphne, have also recently lost their loved ones. They both lost their parents into a tragic house fire, which they both blame on their recently rekindled uncle. So this is their story. So Layton and Lavinia Carlisle, for most of their life, lived a very simple, quiet, albeit privileged lifestyle, but they lived a very sheltered life inside of their enormous mansion up in the hills of Forgotten Hollow. And they would only go outside when they would sneak out when their parents weren't keeping an eye on them. And this is where they met Daphne when they were children. So the Carlisles are a very prestigious and influential family, but despite this, the family lived a very simple and quiet existence away from the rest of society, as if they were keeping a deep dark secret in their midst. So recently, a long lost uncle came to pay a visit and stay over for a couple of nights in the Carlisle Manor, and immediately the two kids were very suspicious of their uncle. So they did a lot of research, and this is where they found out that their father is actually a vampire. Surprise. And they are actually half vampires. So this is such a shock to the two of them. However, they found out a little bit too late, because by the time they found out, their house was already being ravaged by a huge house fire, which led to the tragic demise and death of both their father and mother. So they quickly grabbed their ashes and escaped, and the only place they could find is this house in the neighborhood that is apparently owned by their long-lost childhood friend, Daphne Whitlock. So that's basically all the events that happened recently. Nobody knows who started the house fire, but the kids are hell-bent on getting revenge for the death of their parents. So their goal, and our only goal for this LP, is to reach the top level of the vampire skill and defeat our uncle Vladislaus Strauss, and maybe we could even kill him. I'm not sure if we can kill him, but maybe we can. So as you guys can see, Layton is a good vampire, and then Lavinia is a master vampire, and hopefully you guys are getting a good idea of where this Let's Play is going, and hopefully I made it clear, the backstory, because I literally spent weeks working on that and making all the sims and making sure all of their relationships are in proper order. Speaking of relationships, I want to show you guys the family tree of our sims. I'm gonna start with Daphne here, just so you guys can get a good idea of her family. So this is Daphne. Her mom's still around, even though she doesn't necessarily get along with her. She kind of hates her mom. And then, of course, we have our grandmother, who has recently died and left her entire property and house to Daphne. And then, oh my gosh, why is the Grim Reaper? Why? Just that's really weird. Okay, anyway, so Layton and Lavinia's family tree is this one. Their father Vladimir and mother Anastasia both died in a tragic fire, and their father's brother is still around, Vladislaus, and he is kind of haunting, terrorizing the town and all that stuff. It looks like, look at that. Daphne and the Grim Reaper are in a good relationship with each other, so ask about career. I wonder what he's gonna say. Daphne, as I mentioned before, she's been through a lot, growing up. So, meeting vampires and meeting the Grim Reaper himself is not gonna faze her. She is... yeah, she's not really surprised by any event or whatever. So yeah. It's so funny. Any chance you can point me to the closest deli? I haven't had lunch or breakfast yet. Oh yeah, by the way, there is a cemetery behind our house, and this is where our loved ones are buried. We might actually see some ghosts. And speaking of loved ones being buried, I want to make sure that we actually lay down our parents' urns and gravestones over there. So there you go. And also, let me remind you guys that both Lavinia and Layton's vampire genes has recently been triggered. Their uncle Vladislaus hypnotized them and bit them without them being knowing it. So they are now turning into vampires. As you guys can see, they have bite marks in them. And they are currently undergoing that transformation to become a vampire. So you know what? Let's actually just go ahead and have everybody claim their beds. Because I feel like they haven't done it before. Okay, that's going to be his bedroom. And weirdly enough, Daphne is gonna have the basement bedroom because why not? Also, all of them are like depressed because they all recently lost a loved one. So that's very interesting. And this is gonna be our front door. I want to show you guys the relationships that they have. So the only person that they hate actually is their uncle, Vladislaus. So yeah, they kind of want to kill him. Oh yeah. Okay. So, oh my gosh, is there any ghosts? Oh, she's mourning someone. Anyway, since Lavinia wants to kind of be a master vampire, I want her to start researching even before she becomes a vampire. Vampire secrets, search for information on vampires. I love how that's like readily available online. Lavinia is like her role right now. She is kind of like the big sister role because she is a very strong-willed woman. She knows what she wants. She always gets what she wants, and she does not wait for people to just serve it on a silver platter. You know, she works for what she wants. I always refer to her in my other videos as a sexual predator, and she really is. She likes boys. She likes, you know, to indulge herself in guilty pleasures. And what's good about her though is that she really genuinely cares about her family. You know, coming from a prestigious background, she knows that responsibility and the consequences of not putting up a good front. So probably even more than her brother, Layton, Lavinia actually is the one that's taking up the lead in this whole situation, you know, because right now their life is in ruins and she really is taking charge. Now, Layton, unlike Lavinia, is a little bit more shy, a little bit more clumsy, and a little bit more composed. You know, growing up, he was raised to be the successor to their riches and to their estate. So he kind of doesn't necessarily know how to deal with some, you know, unexpected situations because all he knows is, you know, studying and reading books because he lived a very sheltered life. And, you know, he's also very humble. He likes to do things that even very wealthy people won't do, which is one thing is to practice carpentry. You know, he likes to he likes to do woodworking, and he also likes to really look at animals. He's an animal lover. He likes to collect animals and frogs. And since he's a good vampire, frogs are probably gonna be his diet for the meantime, until he can find like a love interest that will be willing to give him blood or whatever. He's gonna be eating frogs basically. So yeah. And Daphne over here, very much like Lavinia, is a very strong woman. You know, she has been through so much in her life and really nothing can faze her. She knows how to deal with difficult situations, and, you know, she is immediately adjusting to the fact that she now has to live with vampires or potential vampires. You know, we don't know yet because they haven't transformed, but yeah, and also she needs to sign up for a job because yeah, she is an aspiring writer and we need to get her a job because somebody needs to make money in this house. Okay, obviously she's gonna be a writer and hopefully this is gonna go well. We need to read some books here, so let's go ahead and do that. You know what, you guys? I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to wrap this part up right here. I think most of this part is just introducing yourself, introducing you guys to the Sims that we have. But hopefully I was able to give you guys a compelling narrative. And hopefully it's going to get us through this LP because our goal is that by the end of this LP, we are going to be taking over that huge mansion. And as much as I love this house, I cannot wait to move into there once we killed our uncle. So anyway, like I said, that is going to be it for this part. Once again, please don't forget to hit that like, favorite, and subscribe button if you guys had fun watching this video because it really does help out a lot, okay? You all have an awesome, awesome, awesome day. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.